Well, it's Brian Morse tonight. We are at the Dowling tailgate. And what would a tailgate be without our star? A star has been born tonight. But it's not Willie Farrell.
No, heck no.
But we're here to have some fun.
You really fed me into that one, didn't you?
I did, gosh.
All pumped up. I thought I was a star.
No. We're here to have some fun tonight. Mark Amadeo got inducted to the Hall of Fame, so we all want to share a few stories from Mark's past. So, hey, Mark, when you come on in real quick.
Come on in here.
I'm not sure if you can wide lens it, everybody. Here comes Mark.
He has the beat. He has the beat. Apparently, he was in Mardi Gras today.
I was sitting with your mom today.
Yeah.
And she says there's questions about your, being a member of the family. There's questions about that.
I'm sure there is. I'm not like any of those Morrises. But, again, everybody, a star is born. Remember that. That's the catchphrase tonight from Mr. Amadeo. Mm-hmm. But, we wanted to bring Willie in. Willie's probably known you since you were yay big. Maybe, Will, you got a story you want to share about Mark?
I just know that he's been umpiring a lot of the girls' softball games, and he's done a wonderful job. I'm sure he's probably put a halt to more girls' careers than you can imagine.
And he's being kind, really.
I'm being very kind. I'd say, hey, Mark, you did a good job. Hey, Mark, I'm over here. He can't even see you. But
look at those glasses.
Willie, when your daughter's pitching or batting, I always use my good eye. I really do. I always try.
Well, they do put people in the Hall of Fame at Dowling, usually for athletic things, which is amazing because I know Coach Marcoullier was telling me earlier that you probably haven't made a catch all year, ever. But we will be back for a little more fun with Mark on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. We're going to have you, all of us, in if we
First
can
of
all
all,
make it.
can anybody read that at all?
Bigger font.
This is the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. We're here with Mark Amadeo, class of 2012 Hall of Fame inductee. And we're here with Father Amadeo. Thank goodness, Father, I've heard Mark on the Catholic radio station in the morning. He talks about the Bible, and then he gets into Clifford the dog stories. I think he gets them mixed up, so thank goodness you were the one who got the priesthood.
Well, partly because my parishioners like to have homilies short, concise, and to the point.
And my brother today, I mean, he just kept going on and on and on. And obviously, he would have never passed a homiletics course at all.
Well, there was no gambling on Mark's over and under for 2 or 3 minutes at the inductee. I picked the over, and there was somebody who I got the odds on.
It was about 3 minutes, which is about 15 minutes shorter than my brother's homily on Sunday. So it was a pretty good, I thought.
Willie, have you ever heard Mark? I haven't heard Mark ask a question in 3 minutes.
Honestly, when he starts to talk, I just kind of blank out a lot of times. I just go to a better place. He sounds like Charlie Brown's parents when he talks. I just hear wah, wah, wah. Well, all I know is when you get the spotlight, Mark, and you got the spotlight,
yes,
you better hold on to that sucker as long as you can, pal. Don't let it up.
Here's the goal tonight, Brian. This is exclusive. For me to walk across that field without tripping over the hash mark. I'm going to try and do that.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about your athletic prowessness at Dowling. Give us the background.
First of all, I was on an intramural team that was named after Iraq, and that was pretty much it. Let's see. Actually, I played basketball a little bit and played a little, kind of messed around with track. Times weren't very good, kind of runs in our family, and that was it.
Now, Mark, I remember you being more of a manager for the teams rather than an athletic person for the teams. And there's a distinction, though, between being a manager that kind of picks up water bottles and being an athletic trainer, which I was, that took care of the injured players. So I don't know if you can elaborate more on which position was more, fulfilling.
Mark, I want you to hold that thought because your answer is going to be a lot longer than the segment we have here. So we are on 1150 KWKY, the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, and we'll be back with The Star is Born after these announcements. Welcome back to the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. We're here at the Mark Amadeo Roast because Mark today was introduced into the Dowling Hall of Fame. And you guys all three grew up on the same side of town, south side. Okay. Growing up, maybe, Willie, maybe you were, what, about 28 when Mark was 3? Well, this isn't your roast. I'm sorry, Willie.
Boy, you turn on everybody. I like the fact that we're doing like a Vita here. We're on a balcony. I just feel like we should be singing or something.
Can I do my papal wave?
Exactly, yes.
Give my little papal wave.
Practice that.
Practice that.
That's right, yeah.
First of all, let's go back to the last segment to answer my brother's question. I think it was a question in there somewhere. But, yeah, in high school, I went out for basketball and track, and I got shin splints, and I kind of gave up that. So, yeah, I was kind of helping out.
Who were the stars of Dowling at the time you were there?
Well, and you know these guys.
Okay.
Ron Giudice,
Yes, I was
Scott
with Ronnie last
Williams.
night, yes.
Scott Williams was our quarterback.
Yeah.
We had tremendous offensive
Bobby
line.
Hansen.
Bobby Hansen was a year ahead of us.
Yeah.
But your picture's going right up on the wall next to theirs.
Well, I hope so.
That's right.
Yeah, you got Bobby Hansen, you've got Ross Verba, you've got Coach Nizzi, and Mark
They
Amadeo.
might
You
have
know, I
Mark's
forgot.
picture actually holding their picture.
We had a
As
tight
the,
end.
trainer was.
Guys, we had a tight end called Scott Marcoulier, related to the Frenchman. How about that?
So, Father, tell me a little bit about, again, Mark growing up. Was he an aggressive kid at home, or how did that work out?
Well, you know, he started delivering newspapers at a very young age, and he would always try to sell them for like an extra quarter, you know, extra 50 cents. And the poor little ladies, the old ladies on the south side of Des Moines, bought it from him, you know. So he was very aggressive, even in his marketing skills.
Now, Willie, you did a little collecting growing up, but I don't want to take your joke.
A little bit different than that. I actually collected with my father, and 1 year over $32,000. But a lot of that was big.
You know, Mark, we've had fun. The Star is born today, but what did it feel like? Some of us couldn't be at. What did it feel like to be inducted? Was overwhelmed with emotion, or how did it go today?
You know, when Lyndon Decker, Allie Thrall, Frank Schweitzer, and Frank Lavia, and myself, we all had emotion when we said our speeches to the community. And it was quite an honor, and it's something I certainly didn't expect when I got the letter this past summer, and it's something I'm very proud of, and I really thank the Dowling community for that.
Well, we had fun tonight, but again, Mark, well deserving to be in the Dowling Catholic Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Thanks, Brian.
And we are at the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY.
Back on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. Paul Yeager here along Dave Marcoulier and the roaster. Shecky Green is on my side. Southeast Polk last week. It's a tough loss for the Maroons. You lose Amara Darbo, third play of the game. Brian hit it right on the head with one thing, but how do you come back from something like that?
Oh, you just have to regroup, and the kids have been working hard this past week. You got to shuffle some people around a little bit. When you have an Amara Darbo, your whole offense is focused around him, as it should be. And the problem is, if you lose him due to injury, there's not anyone who can step in and replace what he actually does. He's that meaningful and valuable to the team, so it changes things.
And he's become more and more involved in each and every game plan. A couple of times we've seen him on defense. There's a chance we were going to see him big on defense last week.
Yeah, he was going to play a lot on defense. They were going to try and get him in at least 15 plays a minimum. He was on kickoff return team when he got hurt. So, you want your star on the field, and that's what they were doing, trying to work him in even more so.
One thing that Coach Wilson liked, Brian, was your analysis of now what? It was you'd rather have him go down on Tuesday than you would 2 minutes in.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you think about it, you come in with a game plan and it's scripted, and suddenly those 15 plays you thought you were going to run, you're thinking on the fly now. And I thought Dowling did a great job with that first drive. I think it caught Southeast Polk a little off kilter because I think they thought Darbo was out there, but the Dowling offense struggled last week, and I think that was a big part. And like you said, Dave, they've been working really hard this week, so you're prepared without your star. So, you know what, you bring who is ready to play.
And that's who we found out, and maybe we'll find out tonight who else is ready to play, because maybe they get some of that, now. But that could happen at any moment with any player.
It really can. But, I had people say, well, he's just one player. But you know what? He's the top recruit in Iowa. You just don't have another one of them sitting in the background waiting to come in next. I mean, he is that good of a football player.
It'd be like Ames High losing Harrison Barnes in the basketball squad.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Brian said, he is a key player, and that's how you focus. Every year, the coach of any sport on any team takes a look at his players, and he's going to select the game plan or the offense that they're going to run based around that particular player. And in this case, it's Amara Darbo, and you take him out, and it changes things a lot.
Well, now we'll find out who is going to step up next and exactly what offense will step up next. The starting lineups look pretty much the same as they did last week, Dave. But I just get this feeling, and I asked Coach Pizzetti, I think for Ankeny, I think it's very difficult to prepare for Ankeny this week.
Yeah, absolutely, because, again, it goes back to assignment football that we saw earlier in the year. And when you have to play assignment football, that means you have a man, and it's very difficult to play that defensively. Normally you don't. You have an area. And this is going to be a big challenge for the Dowling defense tonight. And Ankeny's offense is so deceptive. It's extremely hard to see who has the ball.
Joe Lanning is the quarterback. You'll see him a lot. He'll wear number 2. He is a guy who can run the ball, who can throw the football, but one of the things he does well is do both.
Yeah, that's such a weapon to have, because it makes the defense just honor both of those. If you have a one-dimensional quarterback, which it seems like more and more teams are getting away from that, they want that two-dimensional player. He's a good player. He's been playing since his freshman year, and he runs this offense very, very well. So as Dave said, the key is that ball deception, and Dowling has to stay home.
And what else he does. Last year he was such a good thrower, they put him in the shotgun. And this year, from what I understand, they put him back under center because they felt they lost a lot of the running game. So most of the time he's going to be under center tonight, too. So he can do both the run and the pass.
But we'll probably see the shotgun quite a bit, too. So who knows what we're going to see. It's going to be an interesting ball game. The crowd is starting to fill in here at Drake Stadium. Gorgeous night for high school football. It's homecoming. We'll continue the pregame show right after this on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. kind of like these beautiful nights where we get to stand outside here. I mean, it's radio, when you get to sit outside, and television, you get to experience the gorgeous night for homecoming. We're getting ready for kickoff. We're just about an hour away between Dowling Catholic hosting the Ankeny Hawks tonight, and Dave, the Ankeny Hawks, Jerry Pizzetti, 50th season as head coach. Not all at Ankeny, majority of them at Ankeny. Jerry's an institution across the state and across the country.
Yeah, he really is. He's been there ever since I can remember, and that's real unusual in this day and age because most coaches, first of all, don't coach for that long because of the stress and the pressure and the time commitment. But he's been in a long time, and every year they say this is it, but he comes back the next year.
I asked him, there was a rumor going around Ankeny of, hey, he's already turned in his resignation and it's going to be his son. No. He goes, no, I'm coaching. I'm coaching until they tell me no.
Yeah, and I can see him doing that, too. I wouldn't believe any rumors.
Well, last year they made the Unidome. It was not a pretty game in that first game. 35-0, I believe, was the score. Dowling capitalized on all sorts of turnovers last year at that Ankeny game. But in the semifinal, the game to go to the state final game, fantastic football game.
No, that really was. There were so many key plays to that game. It was back and forth, and Dowling, again, they found the way to win last year, and they got down early but had the fortitude to come back, and it was a great football game. We saw two great football games last year in the Unidome.
One of those players, Joel Lanning, we mentioned, he's the junior. He's the quarterback, 43 of 74 passing for 700 yards. He's 16 yards per completion. He's rushed the ball 64 times, 353 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's a threat to do anything.
He really is, and, they have so many running backs that can do a lot. And they'll bring in 3 or 4 different ones. They have a sophomore receiver this year, who is Marshall Clark, who is their main target, and he is a good football player, and he can run the route, but he has good hands. He has really good hands.
Marshall Clark, 16 catches, 264 yards. Let's talk about the running backs because that's they're running behind the offensive line that Dave likes to talk about. Trevor Egley, senior, 5'11", 180. Egley, 51 rushes, 462 yards. He is their team leader in rushing. Ian Begg, 15 carries, 76 yards. Ryan Wendt, 20 carries, 170 yards. Pick any back, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to get positive yards.
Yeah, and they do a great job of finding the hole. Every year they're well-disciplined. And, what Ankeny does so well is they don't run a whole lot of plays when you really break it down. But what they do very well. And thus the success with the multiple running backs. And they do a nice job with their offensive line, too.
Defensively, Ryan Woods, Sam Gonzalez, Eric Sturm, Jordan Studer. Jordan Studer and Tim Ash are their leading tacklers, 47 tackles each. Always strong, too.
Yeah, they come out with their normal defense, or maybe the defensive lines are a little bit smaller, but they always have really good linebackers in Ankeny, and this year is no exception. Tim Ash is a really good player, leads the team in tackles, and I remember him from last year. He was a really good football player as a junior, so again, they're going to come out. They're only giving up, I believe, less than 10 points a game, so their defense is very, very strong. It's going to be a test for the Dowling offense.
Last week, Ankeny defeated Urbandale by a score of 28-13. They did not run a lot of offensive plays in the second half. Had to punt the ball a lot in the second half. Urbandale, we've proven, in the game that we saw, Urbandale's a good football team.
Yeah, they are a very good football team. I believe the quarterback was Hurley, who does a great job with that team. I was very impressed with the way he ran that offense. But Ankeny struggled in the second half of that game, and hopefully that'll continue tonight, and then Dowling can get up on them early.
I mean, but remember, guys, they were down. They were up 28-0, so they didn't have to do a lot. And, I talked to some Urbandale folks, and they said, well, Ankeny didn't move the ball much in the second half. And I'm thinking, well, they didn't have to. They were playing with a 28-point lead. So I'm thinking they probably went a little plain vanilla in that second half against Urbandale. Not anything against Urbandale.
You would never want to run down the hometown. Sun is starting to set here on Drake Stadium. The lights are going to be they're turned on here in this last segment, so it's starting to get ready to play football. We'll have some teams come out, and we'll talk Ankeny here in just a little bit. You're on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. Back here on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. Paul Yeager sitting here on the rail, hoping Dave Marculia doesn't fall off. He's got a history here at Drake, but it's not his roast, and we heard a little bit about it. You like coming to Drake Stadium. I mean, you're an alum.
I love Drake. You know, coming down there, it's a beautiful stadium, and we're sitting here overlooking the campus and everything. I don't know if you've ever walked the campus, either one of you guys, but it really is a beautiful place there. And you know what? Drake reminds me, honestly, a lot of Dowling. It really does. The community, the environment, just everything about this place. I love Drake. I really do.
I don't know if Brian Morris buys that.
No, I do. I'm an alum. I've got my master's from Drake, so I walked the campus to one building and back. But no, it's a great. I don't know if I buy the whole community thing. I know they send me something to give them money every year. I know that.
Where's the media center? Point to it.
Media center's back that way.
No, it's wrong direction. That's what I thought.
The library bar's that way.
I actually went to class, Brian. I didn't pay for my diploma.
All right, well, I don't really have anything to follow with that, you know. I mean, but it's great to be here.
Go to a break, huh? I think we're getting off track.
I think Brian's saying, take my wife, please, you know.
Speaking of which, jeepers, it's my anniversary. Hi, honey. Happy anniversary.
And you know what? Mine was Wednesday. I better say something or I'm going to get in trouble, too. So happy anniversary.
We're good to have you both. We appreciate your wives.
Brought us all back.
Ask Brian how many. While I count up mine.
You know, Dave, the last time I saw Dave dancing, he was at my wedding, and the guy does unbelievable Michael Jackson.
Dave or Michael Jackson, or your wife?
Dave.
I've heard that about you, but, you know, that shoulder and all, I didn't know how you could still dance.
Yeah, you don't want to see me dance. I'll take care of this. I'll save the table.
That's very good. Saving tables, a lot of people are going to be watching this game tonight. They're not going to be sitting around tables. They're going to be watching this football game here on the web or listening to us on 1150 KWKY. But some of the other games tonight, Urbandale's at Southeast Polk, Sioux City West is at Johnston, Ames is at Valley, Fort Dodge at Mason City, Des Moines North at Des Moines Lincoln, Ottumwa at Des Moines East, Roosevelt at Hoover, Waukee is at Marshalltown, Council Bluffs Abe Lincoln is at Sioux City East, and Sioux City North is at Council Bluffs Jefferson. Urbandale Southeast Polk, Brian, is that your favorite game out of the region?
You know, I want to see that Ames at Valley game. Ames comes in with a fairly decent record, but I don't know if they've played the competition. So I want to see that score just to gauge if Ames is for real or not. And yeah, absolutely the Urbandale Southeast Polk game, just since it's a conference game.
You know, the thing I worry about Ames, I'm not mistaken, Fort Dodge upset them last week. So that's a big loss for them. But, you know, I would go with the Urbandale Southeast Polk game. Urbandale is going to have to play awfully well. But who knows, Southeast Polk could have a letdown after the big win over the Maroons last week, and it could happen, but I doubt it will, but it could.
I think one of the games that'll be interesting is Waukee at Marshalltown. We don't know a lot about we think Marshalltown can throw the football. They've got the stats to show they can throw the football, but their games that they've played against other teams not been that strong.
Yeah, Waukee's had a really tough schedule. I mean, they've played, I think, 3 teams in the top 10 already this year, and I think they're going to give Marshalltown maybe a different game than Marshalltown has had this year besides that Valley game.
It should be interesting. The top 10 from the Iowa Sports Connection. Cedar Falls number 1, City High 2, Valley 3. The Ankeny Hawks, the opponent tonight is 4, Linn-Mar 5, Southeast Polk 6, Assumption and Davenport 7, Bettendorf 8, Iowa City 9, and Marshalltown 10. So the register pretty much the same top 10, Cedar Falls, City High, Valley, Ankeny, Linn-Mar, Assumption, Bettendorf, Polk, Iowa City West, and Marshalltown. So we'll know soon, but Brian, top 4 teams on the western side of the state.
Right now, I would say Southeast Polk, not in any order, Valley, Ankeny, and I say Dowling.
I would probably agree with that. That's a tough one to answer off the top of your head without putting some thought into it, but I would have to agree with those teams.
I like to surprise you, Dave.
Yeah.
Keep it very interesting.
I don't know who else I would put in there. I really don't.
The only one that could get some argument is maybe Marshalltown, just for the sake of the way they can throw the football. And we saw what they did 2 years ago when they made it to the state final.
Yeah, they really did come on strong. And, you know, I'd like to see Marshalltown play. I really would, to see what kind of team they really do have.
We'll keep an eye out for them and let you know their score throughout the night. Ramel Slaughter will have that for you. We're going to take a break here on the pregame show as the bands are warming up in the distance and the football teams are doing the same as specialty players are making their way. We'll come back and right here in a moment on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. Back on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. Paul Yeager, as the sun is setting down here on the western side of Drake Stadium. It's going behind the horizon. It's all of a sudden that humidity is gone. It's a little drier air. And Brian, I think all of a sudden you might have to put a coat on, young man.
I think I will be putting a coat on, but it is a great night for football. No rain, a cool, crisp night, just like we had last week at Southeast Polk. Hopefully a different outcome.
Why, is that important?
The outcome, absolutely, it's important. That's why you play the game.
You've got a lot of folks that you know that are back. It's homecoming. Dave, you're at school all day, all week, all night, all morning. Homecoming, it's always fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been an exciting week. Last time we were in dress code was last Friday, but different theme each day, and it's fun to stand out in the hall and look at the Disney characters and cartoon characters and things like that every day. But some of these kids, they can really do a number on these things. It is funny to look at some of them. We've had a good week. Hall of Fame today, Pep Assembly this afternoon, so it's been a very good week. Things have gone very well.
Was there a Jersey Shore Day?
No.
Good. There was a report I heard from a friend earlier in the week. He's like, tell me one school that doesn't have for their homecoming week a Jersey Shore Day.
That would not be Dowling Catholic, I guarantee it. I know a school that's not. It's like watching a train wreck. Sometimes you just can't take your eyes off that show.
Which is one, I've never seen it, but I'll play the fifth.
What's that?
Exactly, that's what we like to hear. So it's always fun. We had Hall of Fame. For those of you that did not watch at 6 o'clock, you missed a really good tailgate show with Brian Morris. Spectacular interviews. Herm Edwards was here. Vince Lombardi, Hayden Fry.
Lou Holtz stopped by.
Yep.
I'd tune back into the webcast when it gets out. And, we had a little fun with Mark again. He is very touched, you could tell, about coming into this Hall of Fame, and rightly so. He's been doing Dowling Catholic for 30 years, 28 years, so he's put a lot of time and energy into Dowling Catholic sports.
And also our halftime guest, also very touched about his induction into the Hall of Fame.
Frank Libby, a class of 1965, and it was real interesting to listen to him tell some stories about he was a 2-year football player and a 2-year letter winner in baseball, and he was telling stories that I believe Jim Williams came his junior year, and he'll be on halftime and tell that story, I'm sure, but it was a lot of fun listening to him. I'm looking forward to his interview.
Coming up tonight, we do actually have a football game coming up in about 50 minutes. There'll be a Hall of Fame induction. We'll try to get Brian down to the field and listen into that in just a few minutes. But let's talk Dowling quickly, Brian. Changes. We know Darboe is out. Matthew Hawk will get the started flanker, so that means the split end will be Brandon Ogden on the start. Damon Merle moves up onto the second string, and Addison Bennett. Those will be the four guys we'll see at receiver. And if I had to bet, we'll see one of them catch the football tonight.
Yeah, we're going to have to, that's for sure. And I think we could see, again, the coming out of John Wisniewski. Again, I keep saying that tight end, but the next huge athlete on this team is John Wisniewski from a difference maker standpoint, in my opinion.
I do know he had an unofficial visit to the University of Iowa a couple of weeks ago, so he is getting attention from other schools.
Well, and I think he's getting attention at the offensive tight end position too, and I agree with Brian. John Wisniewski, we have got to start involving him in this offense because he's a big-time tight end. He can catch the ball, he can block, and, he's playing the position that Ben Bozen played last year, and we went to Bozen quite a bit, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw John get a little more involved offensively tonight.
Also out tonight, Matt Murfeld off the defensive side of the ball again is out, but if you don't have Michael Sherinian, there could be a lot more points on the board coming from opponents.
Well, you're right, and you go down that injury list, and I think I counted last week 13 guys with not playing who, probably about 7 or 8 of them could have been playing. So Dowling has had their share of injuries this year, but as Coach Wilson has preached to them all year long, it doesn't matter who's out there. We have to put a team out there to come together, and I think we're going to learn a lot about this team's character tonight's game.
Well, you're right, Brian. You take what cards you're dealt and you play with them. And the cards tonight are without Darboe. So step up the plate and get it done. And the kids have been working very hard, and I look for them to come out and play very well tonight.
We'll find out. We're going to send Brian down to the field. We'll get ready to talk to head coach Tom Wilson coming up at the top of the hour. I'll see your starting lineups. We're here on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. You're wanting Ankeny's roster. Yeah. Back up that after that night, and then I went and didn't even bother to.
Hey, Tim, sorry, we missed that. I couldn't talk to you because it would have gone over the webcast.
Warm, cold, warm, cold. Back here on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. Paul Yeager here with Dave Marcoulier. And Dave, the stadium is starting to fill up. You've got the Ankeny Hawks. They just broke from their mass warm-up. Dowling Catholic going through their mass warm-ups. Football. I think Coach Wilson's favorite saying is, you can't have homecoming without the football game.
No, you can't. And, you sit here and look over the field from up here, and it's just a beautiful picture of what you see. And a lot of football players on that field. They're all out there warming up, and it's going to be a great night.
These two teams put a lot of guys on their roster. A lot of players have come through for both of these programs over the year. And, the Ankeny Hawks, Joel Lanning. Okay, this is the second straight week of a junior quarterback who is very talented. But this guy is different when it comes to running and throwing the football. How do you defend somebody like that?
Yeah, it makes it difficult. Ask other teams about Connor Brevard last year. And I think that's one of the key things that Ankeny has going for him is he can run or pass. And, when you play that assignment defense that we're going to have to do, you just are going to have to assign someone to him, and he's going to have to be watching them at all times.
Now, Ankeny for years has been known for that. I used to call it the wing tee. It's that type of offense where you do the same motion every single play. You fake the dive, you do the handoff to the fullback or the halfback. Wingback comes through in that same motion. Ankeny's offense somewhat is like that.
Yeah, it is. It's deceptive. It's hard to tell who has the ball. Many times the fullback will line up real close to the quarterback, so he does that because he hides in there. I'm sure he will be reading a lot tonight, whether to give or pull, and there are a lot of things you can do with this. I even saw their sophomores in a full wishbone last night, and I haven't seen the full wishbone in a long time.
Well, a lot of different things going on at Ankeny. There's soon to be two high schools. The Ankeny Hawks will continue, but the Ankeny Centennial Jaguars will get added to schedules, which will change the CIML. There'll be a shakeup for that as we get ready for a little louder appearance here. As that's the benefits of playing in a college stadium, Dave. The PA gets a little louder.
Well, yeah, and I'm just wondering what in the world's rumbling around here, because I don't know if it's coming across on the camera like this, but man, it is loud.
Well, that's what we like to have. I have to yell even louder, and we have to get a little more creative in what we can do. All right, so Ankeny, we know Joel Lanning. We know they can run the football. We know they can play good defense. Those are hallmarks of that team, which just make them good year in and year out.
Yeah, absolutely. And, defensively, if I'm not mistaken, they aren't giving up more than 10 points a game. Their linebackers are always the strength on defense. They have some tough defensive down people, and they like to try and keep the offensive line off their linebackers, and they want their linebackers to make the tackles, and Ankeny does a nice job doing that.
And their statistics show that their linebackers have been doing a lot. One thing we haven't talked about, Cole Myers and Corey Myers, they're twins, back there at cornerback. They're very good at basketball. They're not too bad at football either.
No, they aren't. That's one thing that Ankeny usually is pretty strong at is the secondary, and that's unusual for high school, but, I've watched those two kids play basketball. It seems like they've been there for 20 years now, and they're also pretty good football players.
They're going to be playing, I believe it's at Truman State, which is coached by the former Waukee coach, Coach Woodland.
They're both going there.
They're both going to go.
Well, that'll be great for them. They're good athletes, and I think people enjoy watching them tonight.
Let you know that Ankeny has defeated Waukee this season, 31-20, Ames 45-7, Des Moines North 56-0, Southeast Polk 12-7, Indianola 41-13, and Urbandale 28-13. That averages out to about 6 points a game that they've been allowing, Dave. So, yes, under 10. The wins that stand out to me, would be the Waukee 31-20. That was a close ball game in week 0. Southeast Polk 12-7, and really that Urbandale game is pretty close too.
Yeah, it is close. I like that Waukee score, that 12-7. That surprised me because I was thinking that Waukee or Southeast Polk would probably beat them, but Ankeny held on and held in there, stuck in there, and low-scoring game.
It was 12-7 was that final, and as we talked getting ready for Southeast Polk last week, that was one thing that they were like, they really felt they should have won that football game.
Yeah, they really did, and like I said, I was surprised to see that, and Southeast Polk, they may see him again in the playoffs, who knows.
All right, we'll take a break right here on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. Radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. Paul Yeager and Dave Marcoulier here on the mezzanine. And Dave, one thing we'll hear from Coach Wilson in just a couple of minutes. He'll talk about this team, but put things into perspective for fans. You put Michael Palmy, Jacob Stacy, and Amara Darbo back in the lineup of the Dowling Catholic team. You got a team that's probably might be undefeated, would be still in the top 10, would not have lost twice this season. What else?
Well, you know what? If I'm not mistaken, all three of those kids are two-way players. So did you lose 6 players? No, but you lost a lot of offensive and defensive power. They both, all three went both ways, like I said, and with them in there, you got a completely different team. You really do. They add a lot to it.
Michael Palmy heard on this field when we were here for the Valley game. Opening play, it was the kickoff. He tore out a knee, had his surgery. He's in recovery now. Jacob Stacy, hurt in this game, had already been hurt prior to this game. He's done, has had surgery. Amara Darbo, not done, just don't know when he's going to return.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate injury to Amara Darbo. I talked to him a couple times this week. Of course, he thinks he's ready to go and wants to play tonight, but he's going to probably be out for the next few games. And hopefully be back for the playoffs. But he's got an injured shoulder, and he's just going to have to do rehab and work his way back. And he's a great kid. I'm sure he'll do that.
One thing that is always interesting to see is how kids respond. Now, I'm not on the sideline. I don't know exactly what goes on inside those huddles, what the kids playing. But isn't it human nature when Darboe goes down to have your eyes get big and you look around and you say, uh-oh, now what?
Well, absolutely. It is human nature because you look for him for the leadership. And what do you do now? Now is where you really have to find not only the players that are going to step up, but the leaders of this team. The leaders have to step up, pull this group together. And as we said earlier, you play with the cards you're dealt, and you do the best you can. But it does definitely deflate you, just like an injured player in the pros. It deflates them, and it can change the whole complex of a game, especially when it happens during the game.
Very similar starting lineup. We'll get to those in just a couple of moments, but it's pretty much the same. We will see Nick Naven. He's not listed as a starter tonight. That club, it is very hard to be mobile and effective when you're wearing a club on your hand.
Yeah, absolutely, especially when you're trying to tackle someone. But he did a pretty good job last week playing with that, and he's probably used to it by now, so I think he'll be okay.
Up front, do you have any concerns the way the offensive line's been playing, or do you like the way that they have been playing?
You know, I was talking to Coach Williams about that today. In fact, I was congratulating him. I'm impressed with the way those kids are playing. Especially against Fort Dodge. I thought that was one of their better games. I know I talked to a couple kids, too. They were a little disappointed in the last couple of weeks, their performance. But overall, I think that offensive line has done a nice job this year.
See how they do tonight under the lights at Drake Stadium. Gorgeous night for high school football. We're about 30 minutes away. We'll take a break here on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. Back here on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. Paul Yeager here. Let's take a look at the starting lineups for tonight's game. TJ Palmy will start at left tackle, 6'4", 255 pounds. He is a senior. Jake Curvin is the left guard, 6'3", 245. He is a sophomore. The center, Mark Kenkel, is 6'1", 270 pounds. He is a senior. Evan Barkley will wear number 57 tonight. He's 5'10", 200 pounds. He is a senior. The right tackle, Jimmy Barsetti, is 6'3", 230 pounds. Tight end, John Wisniewski, 6'4", 210. The fullback is Nick Navin, 5'10", 180. The tailback, Ben Goley, 5'10", 185. Split end is Brandon Ogden at 5'11", 185 pounds. And Matthew Hawk, 6'1", 180. And the quarterback tonight is Dan Hartlib, 5'11", 155 pounds. Your defensive side for the Dowling Catholic Maroons, Matthew Farmonic will wear number 45 tonight. He's been in that number for the majority of the season. Did not start that way. Matthew is 6 foot, 235 pounds, and is a senior. The tackle is Matt Dunbar. He's a senior, 6'1", 230. Nose guard, Alex Kramer, 6 foot, 225 pounds. The whip is Sam Harold, 6'4", 190, a senior. Michael Gelati, the junior, starts at left cornerback, 5'7", 155. The right cornerback is Tim Mackey, the senior, 5'9", 170. And the bandit is John Wisniewski, 6'4", 210, a junior. Reed Flood is the strong linebacker, the Sam position, 5'9", 185. The weak side linebacker, Andrew Clemon, 6'2", 205, and is a senior. Michael Sherinian, the rover, on the right side of the defense, 6 foot, 170 pounds. The free safety is Alex Heckman. He's 6 foot, 180 pounds, and a senior. Your punter is Matthew Hawk. Your place kicker is Avery Mason, and he'll be kicking tonight from goalposts that are at the college distance. We'll see how that goes. The college width, that is. They have a college game tomorrow with Drake, and they're not moving the goalposts. See how that one plays out. We'll talk to head coach Tom Wilson. We'll also try to get that pregame ceremony involving the Hall of Famers. We'll keep an eye on that, monitor that. Have that for you next here on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. Is this, no, this. We will catch up with Coach Wilson in a moment. We're going to go down to the field. Public address announcer Denny O'Grady with tonight's Hall of Fame induction.
Fred Turner is the past chairman and CEO of McDonald's Corporation, a post he held from 1973 to 1990, when he was elected senior chairman and member of the board of directors. He retired from McDonald's Corporation in 2004. Turner originally planned to be a McDonald's franchisee, but instead became one of the first employees of McDonald's Corporation in 1956. In 1990, the editors of Advertising Age magazine named him Adman of the Decade for the 1980s. He also received the Horatio Alger Award in 1991. Next, we have the 2011 Medallion Catholic St. Joseph Academy Athletic Hall of Fame. Tonight, they join more than 150 current members who have been inducted since 1995. Please join me in honoring these new inductees who have exhibited athletic or coaching excellence and who are continuing to serve as role models within the Dowling Catholic community. Our first inductee is Mark Amadeo, class of 1980, being inducted in the special category. Mark was a student trainer for the football team from 1976 to 1979. He also played basketball and ran track. Head football coach Bob Lindsay would often comment that he wished his players would give half the effort on the practice field that Mark gave for the team each and every practice. For 30 years, he's been the voice of the Dowling Catholic Maroons on 1150 AM, KWKY Catholic Radio, and can be heard on the Saturday morning radio show on the statewide Iowa Sports Connection Network. Currently, Mark resides in Urbandale with his wife Mary. They have 2 children, Alexander and Grace. Our next honoree, Jimmer Dorweiler, class of 2003, inducted for swimming. At Dowling Catholic, Jimmer was a member of 4 state championship teams in swimming. He was team captain in 2002-2003. He was a state record holder and a member of 5 state champion relay teams. At the University of Minnesota, he was on 3 Big Ten championship swimming teams, and was a Big Ten scholar athlete all 4 years in college. Currently, Jimmer is an investment banking analyst in Chicago and recently became engaged to Sarah Naughton, whose father Tom is a 1973 Dowling alum. Our next honoree, Lindy Becker-Kester, class of 2004, inducted for softball, track, and volleyball. While at Dowling Catholic, she earned 11 varsity letters in her 3 sports, was a member of the 2004 state championship softball team, and was a 4-time state qualifier in track. Head softball coach John Wilkinson remarked that Lindy was the hardest working student athlete during his career at Dowling Catholic. College took her to Minnesota State University, where she was a 2-time All-American softball and a 3-time team captain. Currently, Lindy resides in Oregon with her husband Matt, also a Dowling Catholic alum, and works as a graphic designer. Our next honoree, Frank C. LaVia Jr., class of 1966, inducted for football and baseball. At Dowling, Frank was a 4-time letter winner, 2 for football and 2 for baseball. In football, he was tri-captain of the 1966 team that went 7-1. This was Jim Williams' second year as coach. He went on to play football at the University of South Dakota and earned a scholarship. In baseball, he lettered and started in 1965 and 66. Coach Williams remarked that he was one of a handful of key players responsible for taking Dowling football to a level of excellence that remains to this day. Frank is a retired federal law enforcement agent and currently lives in Arizona with his wife Joan. They have 5 children and 2 grandchildren. Our next inductee, Frank Schweitzer, inducted for coach for track and cross country. This year, Dowling Catholic involved coaching both the boys and girls track and cross country teams from 1964 to 2007. Winning college at Minnesota State, University of Mankato, he was an All-American in track and cross country. He has been inducted in the Minnesota State University Mankato Athletic Hall of Fame, where along with his son Mike, they are the first father-son inductees. Currently, Frank is retired and resides in Urbandale with his wife Linda. He enjoys watching his granddaughter Carissa compete on the Dowling Catholic cross-country team, notably seeing her place in 3 events at the state championship meet and compete at the Drake Relay. Our next inductee, Allie Brown, class of 2004, inducted for basketball and track. While at Dowling Catholic, Allie was a 4-year letter winner in basketball and track. During her basketball career, she was a 4-year starting point guard and was on both the state championship runner-up teams in 2001 and 2004. She also led in scoring, assists, and steals. In track, she was a 4-year letter winner. She went on to play at Creighton University, where she was a 4-year starter and was the first player in Creighton history to score a 3-point goal in every game of the entire season. Currently, Allie resides in Omaha and works for Creighton University's athletic department. How about a big hand for this year's inductees?
All right, that's the presentation at the pregame. Let's go down to Brian Morris, who's still on our field, and he's going to get to Mark Amadeo here in a moment. Brian? All right, hold on there, Brian. I don't exactly hear you at this moment, but I will in a moment because I know what I did. So Brian Morris is with us tonight. We'll hear you in a moment there, Brian. Stand by. All right, Brian, go ahead.
Now I'm down here on the field, and pictures Mark Dale and all the people who have got inducted in the Hall of Fame, and I'll catch Mark on the way over here. We have a little special gift we're going to give Mark. He's down here. He's shaking hands. I think he's running for office pretty soon, it looks like.
Well, he would be. He does work in the election office, Brian. I mean, he knows he is he's very important, and he's running down, and Brian Morris is still with Mark, and you're going to see this unfold now, Brian.
Yeah, Mark, this is a football we all signed. Very nice from KWKY. We appreciate you going into the Hall of Fame, and, you know, it's a great honor, and we know you put a lot of time into Dowling Catholic sports.
Well, thanks, Brian. And I know without you and Dave and, of course, Paul, it's been a lot of fun. We've had a lot of fun over the years, 30 years, and I'm very honored.
And you're going to get run over by the band.
We are. The band about took us out. That's the closest we've been to taking out. But Mark's got his football guys, and he's running off, I think, to his son's game now.
Yes, I am. But, hey, go Maroons tonight. Let's beat the Hawks. You know, let's get healthy. And, Mr. Marcouli, I'm looking for that trap play night to be called.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Mark.
All right, that's Brian Morris down on the field, and now we need to catch up and let you know what's going on. And one of the things we're going to do is go right to Coach Tom Wilson. We got to make up some time because if we don't get him in now, we won't hear him before the game begins. Am I right, sir? I'm just going to go to this right now. This is a conversation we had earlier with head coach Tom Wilson. We'll have that for you right now as he gets ready for the football game tonight with Ankeny. Here on the pregame show, Paul Yeager with head coach Tom Wilson. And coach, last week, Southeast Polk knew it was going to be a tough game, just maybe not quite that tough.
Oh, we knew it was going to be tough, and then adversity hits, and it seemed like we were backpedaling the rest of the ball game. And so, give Southeast Polk credit. We certainly didn't handle it very well, and they made plays, and we didn't, and they get the win.
They came out right away and had that quick strike, kind of set the tone, regardless of what happened with Amara on the next play. But, I mean, it kind of looked like it could be a long night for them throwing the football.
Well, yeah, and they really, it wasn't a difficult play. I mean, they just got down in the flat and went down the boundary, and all it is a flat route by the tight end, and they take it the distance, which was, very disappointing on our part. But, we end up answering and have a nice drive and score, and so we're still in the ball game, and really it's where things went a little bit downhill after that.
And that's probably one of those moments where coaches have to I don't know, you say earn your pay or earn your salt, because you got to keep those you got to keep the guys focused on the task at hand.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I earned it, to be honest with you, because you ditch the game plan at that point, and you start recreating things, and what was difficult is you put wide receivers out there that really haven't repped the position that they were in very often, and instead of calling pass plays that you hope will work, you're calling pass plays that your kids know, and it's there's a big difference, and I think obviously you never hope anything like that happens to any of your kids. Amara is very important to our offense, and we were reeling a little bit, and then I think at that point Southeast Polk was really able to tee off in the box and in our to our run game, and we weren't able to get things going in that regard either.
Because it kind of looks like you're retreating to plays that you, like you just said, that the guys know, or that it's not the ones that you think that will work. So you're making that adjustment on the fly. Southeast Polk is like, going this way. Amara's on the sidelines. What's the huddle like at halftime just with the coaches?
Well, we're just trying to figure out what we think will work and what won't, and really, we have Wiz split out in our spread packages, and that's not his strength. We're just trying to, work the ball down the field any way that we can, and really the attitude of the kids was fine. We kept plugging away, and our offense wasn't doing our defense any favors, so therefore our defense is on the field quite a bit, and that makes it real difficult, and it was really a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, the defense was out there quite a bit, and then there's that fumble, and they're all of a sudden right back out there again. Conditioning is one thing, just physically getting pushed around is another.
Yeah, and I felt that started to happen. And, I think one of the things that we talk to our kids about is we lost the hit battle. I mean, you can sit here and talk about run game, you can talk about our pass game or their pass game, but we lost the hit battle. And, you lose that in football games, you're probably not going to be very successful.
That aside, how did the practice go then this week?
Oh, really, it was fine. I thought our kids had a fairly decent week. You worry about the mindset of our kids, and you throw homecoming in on top of that, and there's always concerns with that. But I think Brian Morris said it after the ball game that if something like this happens on a Tuesday with Amara, you get a chance to make some adjustments. Well, I thought that was dead on and exactly right, and we're able to put people in different positions and work some different people in. So, we've got a game plan. We're going to go with it and see what happens.
First, let's find out how is Amara doing.
Amara's doing well. He's a phenomenal kid. I think that's what a lot of people miss out on. They just see a kid in a football uniform that certainly looks like a Division I athlete and is a Division I athlete, but that's not the only thing that defines Amara Darbo. He's a tremendous young man. He has handled this very well. He's been out of practice every day. He's rehabbing the shoulder. His spirits are good. He and I just talked about when he can get back on the field, and I think he's chewing at the bit, and we just have to be smart with it and hopefully do the right thing and get him back in good time.
That being said, you're going to have to make some changes. You already made some changes. It looks like Matthew Hawk is in that position. Is that kind of the look, or some other guys are going to get a chance tonight?
No question. And Matthew Hawk is someone that is very capable. He's a good athlete. We expected him to play this position next year, but that time has come a little bit sooner, and I think Matthew will step in and do a good job, and he won't be the reason why we don't move the football. I'll say that, and we've got some things planned, and we'll see how it goes. And Ankeny has a very good defense with a lot of experience back, so we'll just try to scratch where it itches and get some yards and move the ball and put some things together and try to make breaks our way.
We'll talk Ankeny right after this. You're on the pregame show on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. Back here on the pregame show, Paul Yeager with head coach Tom Wilson. And, Coach, I asked Coach Pizzetti earlier in the week, I said, does not having Darboe in the game make Dowling harder to prepare for? And he said, in some ways, yes, in some ways, no. He says, your program, meaning Dowling Catholic, is absolutely a good football team. And he goes, I think those freshmen and sophomore were undefeated without Darboe, so I think they know how to play football. Do you take that as a compliment?
Well, we hope so. We think we have some good kids. Some of them just haven't done it at the varsity level. I know as somebody that coaches Amara Darboe, the game plan becomes a lot more difficult when you don't have Amara in there. And I was thinking the other day, and quite honestly, I think this is, maybe the first time in 34, 35, 36 ball games that I haven't put a game plan together with Amara in it. And that's a little strange, but we've got some kids that are excited to get in and play, and it's a great challenge. You mentioned practice this week. We've got some kids in there, they're practicing, trying to make plays, and people just need to step up.
Let's find out. Ankeny football, Coach Pizzetti, 50th season, legend, Hall of Famer, throw all the things you want at him. He knows how to win football games.
There's no question. He has a very good staff. They do a great job. It's always a challenge. They play good offense, good defense. They always have the best kickers in the state of Iowa. And so Coach Pizzetti does an excellent job. Talk about a great program, and they've got another good one this year, and we certainly expect them to be at their best tonight.
The man who gets there, the player that gets the headlines, is their quarterback, Joel Lanning. Another week we've seen, or we're going to see, another quarterback that's going to give your defense fits.
He's a good one, very strong arm, very good athlete. I know as Division I coaches have come through here and talked about Amara and other kids. His name always comes up, and he's certainly a prospect.
He's a threat to run the ball, throw the football, but Ankeny's kind of more of a, I couldn't believe Coach Pizzetti said this, a shotgun.
Well, they have, but really their offense hasn't changed. They're just doing things like they have, just putting it in the shotgun. And, they had a quarterback a few years ago, his name escapes me right now, that was a tremendous, tremendous athlete. I think he went to go play baseball somewhere at Nebraska or something like that. Their offense reminds me of that now, like my first or second year here at Dowling. And so it's very much the same, misdirection, a lot of motion, just try to create confusion, and they do a very good job of that.
Defensively, a lot of these guys are back. Jordan Studer, Tim Ash, Tim Carlson, Jordan Bauer. A lot of these guys in that linebacker core are pretty solid.
Very much so. And you look at the Myers twins and also Adriano in the secondary. They played a ton of football for them a year ago. You mentioned Studer. Their linebacking core is pretty much back. It looks like they've mixed them around a little bit compared to what they were a year ago, but they still played an awful lot. So those kids are good football players, and I think as the year started, they were hanging their hat on their defense and hoping their offense came along, and it looks like it certainly has.
Now, last week against Urbandale, Ankeny turned turnovers into points. Their offense didn't score any points in that second half. They're maybe struggling to find a little identity.
Well, I hope so. I just think our kids have to stay disciplined and try to create some turnovers. And Ankeny is a good offensive football team. They have good skill. You've mentioned Lanning, but they always have backs that certainly do a good job within their system. They have certainly capable receivers. You'll see one of the Myers boys out there catching balls. Number 10, Clark, is just a sophomore. He has done a pretty good job. So, I just think we've got a tremendous challenge in front of us defensively and really all the way in all three phases. So it's going to be interesting, but, there's a lot of things about our football team that hasn't fell our way this year. But, nobody's going to feel sorry for us, and our kids know that. And, as I talked to them, I'm not giving up on this football team at all, and certainly won't. We just have to roll up our sleeves and get to work and win the hit battle. We have to get tougher. And as we go along, you never know what can happen, and really that's our focus. We're going to try to get better, and hopefully we get a couple guys back later in the year and see if we can't become the best we can be.
Oh, and by the way, it's homecoming. I know there's a saying you like to use, without the game there is no homecoming. How do you continue to drive that home to the guys?
Well, our kids know that. It's our traditional Thursday night phone calls to our players that we make every homecoming to make sure that they're home and tucked away at 9 o'clock. And we were in pretty good shape last night as we made those phone calls. I think if there's one thing that we do is we're able to keep our kids focused a lot of times. And homecoming is really for the alumni and the rest of the student body. Our job is to really get ready to play the best football game we can.
But a great atmosphere again back at Drake Stadium. Haven't been here since the Valley game. Still a great place to play a football game.
It is, and there's only one game, no prelim game, and just because Drake has a home game this weekend. And, I think another thing to watch, which is going to be interesting, that I think has Avery Mason a little bit worried, is they can't move the goalpost to the high school width, so we're going to be using college goalposts, and there's always something, but we'll adjust and adapt.
Well, I guess Cole Netton for Ankeny. I mean, he's a Division I scholarship commit for Iowa State, and Avery's going to have to play on his level. One other little note we'll have to find out. We'll talk to Coach at halftime and in the post-game show. That'll do it here. Kickoff is coming your way next on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY.
Captains in the rows, number 67, T.J. Tommy, number 33, Nick David, number 80, John Romine, number 20, Ben Gary.
Brian, talk to me a little bit, will you?
Field and the band was awesome. I about got knocked over.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
Hold on. Can you hear Dave now?
Can you hear me?
I can hear Dave.
Okay.
Hey.
Awesome. He's saying,
Wow.
hey.
After 5 years, we're kind of professional.
We're getting there.
Yeah, the problem is we can't announce over the radio like this,
Yeah.
but we can talk.
Ankeny won the toss and deferred. Is that what he just said?
That I believe
Ankeny
that's
won
true.
toss.
Yeah, because their kicker's been blasting them.
Okay. All right. Here we're getting close. We'll try to get to you as quick